the person I know for a little bit time, because we met first time on DevOps Days. In Krakow, I think. Warsaw. Yes, Warsaw. It was 2 years ago, I think.
So that was a super cool event. Very community-based. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I also got a full room for my talk, so that also.
That's good. That's good. Oh, good, because I was co-organizing it.
Oh yeah.
So, Gabriel from Permit.io. Let me and the audience know, what are you doing? Because I see something about permissions, so this is like one of the, maybe not the most hot topics on KubeCon today.
I would argue that, but
it is hot. It is hot because there is a lot about security. Maybe, well, we heard yesterday a lot about security in context of AI, but still a lot about the security is here. So,
let me start and say something at the beginning. Permission is not only a problem of security. Permission is actually a problem of experience, because I know some people that prefer that a user get where they shouldn't get to, and not user that can't access where they should get to. Because if a user can't access for a very critical mission in the app, that could hurt experience and they just leave you. If you open something to a user that shouldn't get to, you'll get a CV and people will forget, right? So it's a security issue, but also a big experience issue. And applications and as users, and usually the way it goes, developers is mixing the permissions with the application code. So you have, for example, an API endpoint, and then you ask if this user has assigned a role as something, then run this particular code. And then this code is getting complex and complex. You need to mix attributes into that. You need to mix relationship between users and resources into that. Or you actually have complex policy rules. So we are letting you externalize everything. So you can configure it in 5 ways. In the UI of permit, so you can even give non-code stakeholders to configure permission. With one of our 11 languages SDKs, APIs, CLI actually 6, Terraform provider, and domain-specific policy languages. All this way allowing you to configure code in one way in the cloud. You can, of course, separate it to applications, to branches, etc., etc. Everything that you are generating in permit, everything that you configure is generated in domain-specific policy languages for you. So you don't need to learn a new language, not learn anything, very intuitive. After it generated, you are getting policy decision points. Policy decision points is a small containers that you can run everywhere. You can run as sidecars to your microservices. You can write on NPI gateway, so it will authorize API gateway calls. You can run it on the mesh. You can run on the front end. You can have everywhere. It will all get the same streamlined permission. So no matter how distributed your system are, you are controlled the permissions in one place. And you also get zero latency because they are run very close to the app. And we are minimize the footprint of permissions in your app to only enforcing permissions. We also have event-driven data integration. So you can integrate with events to your identity provider, to your authentication provider, to your database, to your Kafka stream, to everything. So everything is controlled in one place and the engines know to synchronize the data. And it actually can save you like 80-90% of the work that you do, but it also keep your code very clean so you don't need to mess with your permissions code in the app. You can focus in the cool features of your app and not like in permissions.
That is cool, and permission as code, I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. So from your experience and when you advise your clients, because we talk a lot about GitOps approach where we push infrastructure as close to the code as possible, right? So what to do with this permission as code? Is this okay?
So permit is GitOps based. Everything you generated in permit is pushed into a Git repository. You can manage it your own. You can manage it by permit, so we can also manage that for you. And it works with all the GitOps principles. So pull instead of push. At the end, when your decision point, they will always pull. You can also create policy versioning. Policy is always immutable to the decision point. And we also decoupling the configuration of permissions from the data of permission, from the enforcement of permission. So you can keep the configuration at the level of your infrastructure as code. We actually have Terraform provider, so you can write the permissions with our Terraform provider, like any other configuration you have in your app.
So you can keep the permission together with the application code. That's cool.
Indeed.
And you mentioned a couple of times decision points. And as I understand, decision points is not as simple yes/no. Right?
It could be the yes/no. That's the most simple one. The
Yes.
function that say, okay, user action resource, you get yes/no. But we also have filtering queries, so you can say, okay, this is my IDs, this is my user, what my user can see. You have get authorized users or get authorized resources. For example, you can tell me, I have this document, which user has access to that? Or the vice versa, I have this dashboard, I have this user, what dashboards this user can have, what widgets they can have in that dashboard, etc., etc. And we also have a very powerful capability called partial evaluation. It's connected to ORMs, and you can actually you can send me a SQL query, and I'll return you filtered SQL query per the user permission.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. That's really cool. And how the ordinary folk can start with Permit.io?
So Permit.io have a very generous free tier. For up to 1,000 monthly active user, a user that you authorize is free. And Permit have a very cool strategy of no blackout features. Many free tiers tell you, okay, you can do that, but you can't do that. With Permit, all the features open for all the tiers. So you start for free, you get everything for you. We also have more free for open source users. So open source users can get for free in Permit up to 25K users a month, and they can integrate it. Yeah, they can integrate it very easily, get all the cloud capabilities and also the on-prem capabilities. We have some projects that use us, and we also have then the startup tier and the pre-tier, pro tier if you want to grow. But just to start an experience, super powerful platform just for free. Just go to Permit.io, click the sign up, and start play with it.
Cool, that sounds cool. You have to try it. And I have an idea in mind, because the scenario I think very often in cases like this is that someone is leaving the company, right? There is always something what is left. Right? With Permit.io, I understand, as it is like connected, for example, to Active Directory or whatever.
That's right.
It's simple.
Absolutely.
And you cut out.
And Permit.io is absolutely event-driven, and it also supports identity standards. So for example, Scheme can really handle that. If you like deactivate a user in Scheme, it will also block everything in Permit. This user will not have a role, will not have nothing, without even writing code. So assuming that you connect us with Scheme, at the moment that you detach user, you actually, this user get all his roles, all his permissions. There is no way that they get another permission. And because it's event-driven, every like DEF CON or something like that, you just send an event, and that can change the way the policy work and make it work for you.
Yeah, that's really cool. And to those of you who could think that maybe there is a risk, what we talk about, putting this permission as code together with infrastructure as code and the application, it's not like that. Just remember, you have your entities, you have your user or resources, whatever, in like Active Directory, and there. In this permission as code, you just define what you can do with this specific permission, not who can do.
That's
right?
super powerful. Yeah,
Yes.
In Permit, everything is decoupled. You have a decoupled layer for configuration. Only configuration is there. You have a decoupled layer for data. This is where so we are integrating with data with event-driven. So the permissions stay without any touch. The permission managed with the software development lifecycle, same as any other infrastructure as code. The data is managed with your application data, and the enforcement is managed in the app level or the API gateway, whatever it is.
Yeah.
This decoupling makes sure that every layer is completely standalone and keeps secured, and also keep a great experience. Think about, for an example, right? So you have permissions that you enforce in the front end without using Permit. You have permissions that you enforce in the back end. And you updated the permissions in the back end, but you forgot to update in the front end. So the user in the front end can't get a screen. They need to do some tweaks to access that. With Permit, the policy will be the same. The decision will be the same, only the enforcement will be separate between the front end and the back end, but they always get the same exactly permissions.
And that is very, very important to like remove the toil, remove this whole management and understanding everything in every single second. great. I for sure want to try it, and you should try it as well. So how is KubeCon going so far? It's last day finally, right?
There is a lot of traffic. Actually, even today, the traffic is like a little surprised me. People are coming. We're sure that we'll have much less people at the booth. We get a very interesting conversation. Actually, you mentioned before about authorization. Authorization in the CNCF is really growing. There are two CNCF incubated and graduated products, Open Policy Agent
Yes.
and Open FGA. They are both policy engine. Permit, I forgot to mention it, but Permit support both. Permit does not develop the policy engine, will wrap it for you and configure everything for you. So if you want, you can use Open Policy Agents, you can use Open FGA. There is no also vendor locking. If one day you decide that you want to run the decision point yourself, you just take all the configuration, run it yourself with OPA, run it yourself with Open FGA. So very flexible, not lock you to everything, and give you very good experience for your users.
Cool. So, Gabriel, thank you very much for your time.
You,
And it was
always nice to
great
meet you, and I hope to
talk
meet
with you.
again
Yes.
soon in Poland. In one of the
Exactly.
conferences.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
By the way, Poland has a very good and very great tech community, software
Yes.
development community. If you're looking for a community and you're in Poland, join one of the communities. But if you're not in Poland and looking for more relationship, Poland is a great place to start.
Yes. Thank you for this advertisement, and it was for free, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So thank you, Gabriel, again, and have fun of the rest of the day.
Thank you very much.